Hey there everyone, it's Ryan with Frontline Animal Removal, and I got a good example of what critters do once they get inside your soffits. So I got a soffit all ripped apart. I'm going to do some repair work on it, but you can kind of get an idea of what they're doing when they're in there. So let me show you what we got. So we got this soffit, the fascia trim, soffit panels are on the ground. The animal was entering right there. You can actually see the hair on the edge of the shingles. Now this soffit, there's no fascia board here. And so they had this furring strip to mount the soffit to. The raccoon was squeezing up into here, but he only did that occasionally. Where he was actually going, let's see that hole. That is a hole right there. That's a big hole. That's a football-sized hole. So once Rocky Raccoon got in there, he tore the shingles apart. How do we know? Well, we got a hole, and then you can see the shingles on the ground down there. So this is an older house. They don't have plywood roof decking on this house. Instead, they're planks. And what is typical in a house of this age, the planks aren't touching each other. So you'll have a plank, then there'll be like a little 1-inch strip, a space, a gap, a plank, a little gap, a plank, and a little gap. And that's the way this roof is constructed. Very common for older homes. So the raccoon managed to tear or chew or damage one of those planks, and then he's dropping in between the other two, and that's how he's getting into the attic. Is this hole in the roof a problem? It's only the problem in regard to critters, because we have a good roof in good shape. We got a valley coming down, the water can't go into the hole. The fascia trim comes up and covers this up, so snow and stuff can't blow into the hole. We just happen to have a raccoon entering it. So what am I going to do? Well, we're going to close this space here, and then we're going to close the space off under here to block them from accessing the hole. Then we'll put the soffit back in, the fascia trim back in, and it'll look like I was never here, nor the raccoon was ever there. Will there still be a hole in the roof? Absolutely. That hole will remain, but we will have blocked access to it, and nothing can get in. And because we're out of the weather, and courtesy of the roof up here, the water can't get in either. So if you got critters in your soffits, but they're not actually getting into your attic or into the house, they're just hanging out in the soffits, give them some time. They'll chew a hole, create some damage, and get in. It's just a matter of time. Okay, I have completed repairs. Here's where the raccoon was getting in. So we have some nice new shiny white metal. It is glued and screwed in place. The gutter's back up. Now this is going to look a little funny down here. There's a piece of aluminum trim behind the soffit. Now originally, the way this was constructed is that little piece of soffit was hanging down, that dirty piece. That's the only thing that was blocking the hole. As you can see, it never really fit in there properly. So I took a piece of white aluminum and I laid it over top of the wood that I placed behind it, and then I put the customer's soffit back over top. So everything is buttoned up tight. No more raccoons getting in here, and I at least got it looking like I was never here. So this is what I like to do. I like to have my repairs look like I was never there, like the house has not been modified. If you're hiring a nuisance trapper and you want them to fix the damage, you want the house to look as it did before the damage. And that's what I attempted to accomplish here. The only thing that gives away that there's been a repair is the bright white new trim. And it's subtle. You can't really tell anything's happened. Everything's put back together just as it should be. But it's reinforced. So no raccoons getting in here. Now, sure, if a raccoon wanted to come up here and lift the shingles off and tear a hole through the decking, yeah, they could do that. But that's not likely. You know, the raccoon chose a weak spot, it tore into it, we reinforced the weak spot, we're good. Now, if you hire some guy and he's charging you a whole bunch of money to throw some hardware cloth into a hole and spray foam it in place with that yellow nasty stuff, I wouldn't pay very much for it. Or if they slap some coil over it and it doesn't look like it blends into the house and it's really ugly and obvious, are you getting your money's worth? So when everything's done, does it blend in? Does it look good? And is it strong? Now the strength is the important part, but blending in, looking good, that's important too, because people like their houses to look good. At least I do.